Hello, welcome to a Q&A. I'm here in my home office with dogs. Scooby's here, Lenny's just off camera, Sadie is somewhere, so who knows if they'll show up more in the video. They do what they want, as we know. And I'm really glad you're here. We're gonna jump right in because you all asked a ton of questions. In fact, remind me next time not to ask for questions for a Q&A on all three platforms, because I asked on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. If you're not following me in any of those places, make sure you go and do that. But there were like 75 questions. Which obviously your girl cannot answer 75 questions. So I went through, if I can get it pulled up here on my computer keeps timing out. Let's press that little caffeine button at the top. I went through and picked the questions that I felt like were kind of the most interesting, but also, if I'm being honest, I picked questions that I felt were, what's the word? Not too intense. I feel like the last couple weeks in my personal life, some of you know we recently moved my mom to a different memory care facility. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the video because some of you had questions about that. It's been a very intense time in the world. We had like a solar eclipse, and I feel like the stakes just feel so high right now. Everything just feels like a 15 out of 10. Maybe it's just me. I doubt it's just me because I really do feel like it's a global thing. But I wanted to answer some more lighthearted, positive questions because I just need a break. And that is always my highest honor and privilege when y'all comment, I love watching your videos because it just gives me a little bit of an escape. And I need an escape. So let's escape together, shall we? In that vein, we are going to start with travel questions. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Jen. I ramble, I talk about all kinds of things. I go to Disney a lot. I do all sorts of travel. And we talk about my mom's journey with dementia with a dash of dog content and home organization and sometimes just random things that come out of nowhere. And I'm so glad that you're here. Subscribe if you didn't already. It's fun here. Okay, we're gonna start with travel. Anna asked such a great question, and I love this. When you were growing up, what was your favorite vacation experience? Or if you don't have a favorite, where did your family go the most often? My family often went camping or fishing. I really enjoyed the one time we went to Disney World when I was 15. Not traveling a lot as a kid led me to becoming a travel agent and marry an airplane guy. So I love this question because I feel like my travel experience as a kid also led to, certainly to me, marrying a guy who wanted to become an airline pilot. He was not an airline pilot when we met and got married, but he is now. And also what led to my career path of having a channel that focuses on travel. When I was growing up, my dad was also an airline pilot, and we actually traveled all the time. We did actual vacations to Hawaii, to my grandparents lived in Washington State. My other grandparents lived in San Diego. Lots of family travel. We were very fortunate that we had family that lived in amazing places. My parents actually both grew up in San Diego, so tons of relatives there. And then places like Hawaii, places like Maine. My mom used to love to spend summers in Maine. We would rent a house. The house across the street was haunted. I don't like to talk about it. Mostly kidding. Anyway, we went everywhere. And then we would sometimes join my dad on his trips. So that took me to places like Mexico City and New York City. Went to New York a lot with my dad, just on like a 24-hour layover, traveled all over the US. And that did a couple of things for me. It made me not afraid of travel, although I do have some travel anxiety, but that's mostly to do with logistics and things. It's not actually about the traveling itself. And it made me just very comfortable with it. I just don't have any fear of flying or anything like that. In fact, being in the air is one of the most peaceful places for me. And there was a question in here somewhere about fear of flying, and so we'll talk about that in just a minute. But because my family traveled all the time, I was so excited when we finally got to a place financially where we could start traveling all the time. And my kids have been everywhere. And I just think that travel is in my DNA. It's something I've always loved doing. And for sure, all of the trips we took when I was a kid have led me to my love and comfort with travel now. So yeah, did a ton of traveling as a kid. Loved it. Loved traveling with my family. So much fun. Okay, next question is from Kim. Oh, this is the question I was talking about. Let's see. I wanted to ask you if your husband tells you about scary pilot situations. I'm so dramatic. Or do you ask him questions such as what kind of turbulence is normal or what certain noises mean? Does what you know or don't know help you when you fly? Okay, so again, going back to my dad was also an airline pilot. In fact, my dad used to help teach classes for people who had a fear of flying. I have a newspaper clip somewhere. He was in the Los Angeles Times. They interviewed him for that. Girl, I don't care about any noises on an airplane. I sleep great during turbulence. Nothing about being in the air scares me. I would liken it to how most people feel about getting in a car. I was 3 months old when I took my first flight. I can fall asleep like that on an airplane without any issue whatsoever, even on a short flight. Everyone in my life has been part of aviation in some shape, form, or fashion when I was growing up. And it's like rolling out of bed for me, truly. As far as turbulence is concerned, turbulence is not scary to me at all. Now, I do know the aerodynamic part of turbulence, and that actually turbulence does not cause an emergency in the air unless you don't have your seatbelt on. So I have a great deal of respect for turbulence, because when people get hurt with turbulence is when they don't have their seatbelt on. Sometimes turbulence can come out of nowhere and they fly up in the air and can be very badly hurt. That's also why sometimes flight attendants are injured on the job. But in terms of like the plane crashing, it's not that I'm not aware that that can happen, but the same way I'm aware that when I'm in a car that you can get in a car accident. And I think most of us know that statistically there are far more accidents in cars than there are in airplanes. And I just have a great deal of faith in airplanes and faith in pilots. So yeah, we don't really talk about that kind of thing. In his 27 years of being an airline pilot, he has, more than that, 30 years of being an airline pilot. More than that, a long time. He's had a couple of hit a bird once. I think one time lost an engine. But when I think of all the thousands and thousands of hours he has in the air and how few incidences there have been, to me, it's just not worth wasting emotional energy on. I love to fly. We don't really talk about it. Anyway, hope that answered your question. Don't be afraid to fly. Live your life. That's what I have to say about that. And I know that's easy for me to say because some people are truly terrified. I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying it is far more dangerous. And I say this all the time, my husband's commute down 400 here in Atlanta to get from our home to the airport is exponentially more dangerous than his time in the air. So there you go. Susan asks, would you or have done a Disney cruise solo if you were not vlogging? I want to take a solo cruise, but not sure how comfortable I would be. Oh my God, would I do it not vlogging? 100%. 100%. I don't, because if I vlog it, it's tax deductible. Sort of, not kidding. And I also genuinely enjoy bringing you guys along on my cruises. But let's say that I stopped having a YouTube channel. Would I still cruise alone? Yes, 100%. There are tons of us out there doing it. I've yet to be on a Disney cruise when I didn't meet tons of solo travelers. You will feel very comfortable. The crew are used to it. I think I've shared the story before, but the very first solo Disney cruiser I met was actually an author that wrote for ABC Family at the time, and he would come on board to do his writing. There's tons of people by themselves traveling all over the world for all kinds of different reasons. And this fear that you're going to be the only one that's alone is never, you're not going to be the only one that's alone, I promise. And you should 100% take the cruise. Cruises are my favorite. Solo cruises might be my favorite. But yeah, they're the best. You should book it. Book it. Book it right now. Marcella wants to know, I'd love to hear your long haul flight tips and tricks. We have a 9-hour flight coming up in a few months. Should we wear compression socks? Are neck pillows still a thing? We're always thinking of you and the fun time we had meeting you at the Contemporary last spring. We did have fun meeting. Okay, so I did a whole video on this, my long haul flight strategies. I will put a link to that video up here, wherever it goes, so that you can go and watch all of the detailed information. I too have a long haul flight coming up. In fact, I think it's an 11 or 12-hour long haul flight coming up in November that I'm actually wildly excited about. And yes, wear compression socks. You really should be wearing compression socks anytime you fly. But my kind of rule of thumb is if the flight is over 2 hours, I always wear compression socks. Always, always, always. And that is because of something called deep vein thrombosis, which can happen to anybody regardless of age. And it's just from sitting for a long time and being at altitude. My husband is a pilot. He wears compression socks. They're a very big deal. You don't have to spend a lot of money on them. There's loads of different brands available. But yes to compression socks. Yes to a neck pillow. I have one that I love. They do take up a lot of space, but unless you're in business or first class, I think it's a necessity for me anyway. Because I'm someone who sleeps, especially if you're going to Europe from the East Coast of the United States, you're usually flying the red eye, which is what I'll be doing in November. So getting sleep overnight, and this trip that I'm doing in November is a brand trip, which means I have to start work like the minute we land, basically, I'm working. So, and I'm going to be in economy. So we're going to make sure I'm using all my tips and tricks. So stay tuned for more on that, because I'll talk to you guys about all of the things that I do, because it's kind of silly. I have a whole routine. One thing that I will share in that video, but is a huge tip, if you're flying from the East Coast to overseas, a lot of times the flights don't leave till like 8 o'clock at night. If that's your flight, what I do, because I also have some dietary things, my stomach doesn't do great when I fly. I have dinner before I get on the plane, and then I tell the flight attendant that I don't want the meal. And I get on the plane ready for bed with my, I've done my skincare, I've brushed my teeth, I am ready to go to sleep. And I usually have to tell the flight attendants a couple of times. And if I'm in a row with other people, I'll say, if they come by, I'm not interested. And then I try to go to sleep pretty much as soon as we take off. And that gives me a great fighting chance. It helps that I normally go to bed between 9:30 and 10. I'm an early go-to-bed girl. But that's something I think a lot of travel vloggers don't talk about. Yes, the meal is included, but A, it's not generally very good, and B, you don't have to eat it. You could eat what your stomach will like before you ever get on the plane, and then you can just go right to sleep as soon as you get on the plane. So there you go. Little bit of a tip before I do that big old long video. Okay. This is fun. TLJ911 wants me to rank all of the Disney ships. This is the time when we rank the ships. Let's rank all the Disney ships. Trademark? Just kidding. Just made that up. Okay, so let's start with the ones I haven't been on, which is the Treasure, the Adventure, the Destiny. Have not sailed on those 3 ships. No desire to go on the Adventure. Too big, too yuck. Too many people, no desire, not at all. So I guess I would rank that one of the ones I haven't been on. That's the one I have the least desire to go on. The Destiny and the Treasure, however, are both Wish class ships. Wish is the ship that I've been on the most. Don't love the Wish class ships. I don't like the layout. I don't like the adult areas. I don't like the adult pool area. The only thing that I like better on the other class of ships than on the Wish is the rainforest room, because they have the outdoor area, and I do love that. But I don't love that there's not a deck for promenade. Another one of you had asked, do I have any plans to sail on the Treasure? I don't. I just don't. I don't like that class of ship. And everyone, oh, you have to go because this show and this meal. And sometimes I'm tempted. And then every time I'm on the Wish, I think, why am I on this ship? I don't like this ship. So so we're going to go from least favorite to most favorite. So the Wish is of the ones I've been on, my least favorite. Up here would be, I haven't been on the Wonder, so I lied. I haven't been on the Wonder, but I have been on the Magic. I actually like a lot. There's a lot to like about the Magic. She is getting a little old, but I do like the way the adult areas are set up, and I like that it's small. So Magic, and then my second favorite ship would be the Fantasy, because the Dream class ships are my jam. Love the layout, love the adult areas, love the adult pool areas, love the spa, love, 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 love. And then my number 1 favorite ship would be the Disney Dream. It was my first Disney cruise. So there is this, fan fiction theory that the first Disney ship you sail is always your favorite ship. But it is my favorite. I love it oh so much. I love everything about it. Some of the crew that are on that ship I have known for years. I have sailed on the Disney Dream. The last time I did the math, like 36 days of my life have been spent on that cruise ship. I know it like the back of my hand. When I walk on that ship, it feels like home to me. And that's not something you can really quantify. It just is. So anytime that I am taking a cruise that's not like one of my Patreon cruises or a cruise where I'm reviewing a particular ship for you guys, which I know I do need to do for the Treasure and the Destiny. But if I'm choosing what ship I'm on, I am always, always, always going to choose the Dream or the Fantasy. They are my favorite. They are where I have the most fun. And yeah, those are the ships for me. So there you go. Okay, sorry, my screen went blank again. Did the caffeine thing not work? So let's do 2 more travel questions. I answered that one. Oh, I think I answered all of them. Scary pilot. Oh, okay. We'll end with this one. For the travel section. Would love to know your favorites, preferences, such as favorite time of year to visit Walt Disney World or cruise, fave resort, restaurants, pool area. So I could do a whole video with just that. So I'm going to stick with like the resorts part of things. I don't know, y'all. Wilderness Lodge may now be my new favorite. Like, I loved it there so much. If you didn't watch my video on that, I'll put the link up here and you can go watch it. But everything from the customer service to the environment to the pools to the food, it just felt like a magical little place. I could spend a week there and never leave. It was that amazing. And y'all, if I felt that way in July, how would I feel in like a cooler time of year when it's not absolutely miserable outside? Love, 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 love. Now, having said that, that's not where we own. Oh, that's the question I wanted to get to. There was one DVC question, but that might be in first place. Now, I have a toxic trait in that whatever resort I am in for that trip is usually my favorite resort. So our 2 home resorts with Disney Vacation Club are the Riviera and Old Key West. I also love both of them. I love the Polynesian. I adore the Polynesian. I have actually another trip to the Polynesian scheduled sometime in 2027. So yeah, that's a hard question for me. It's like asking me to choose a favorite child. I love all of them. And particularly the DVC resorts. I feel like every single Disney Vacation Club resort has its own thing going for it that makes it my favorite for that reason. Like if you're telling me that you really want to do a staycation and you want it to be as like inexpensive point-wise as possible and you want a lot of room to spread out and you're going to cook a lot of meals, I'm going to send you to Old Key West. If you tell me that you're someone who really wants like a bougie vibe and you want to eat at all the great restaurants and you want great proximity to Epcot, I'm going to send you to the Riviera. If you tell me you have little kids and, so that would be my favorite for that. So my favorite for someone with little kids that wants convenience, I'm probably going to send you to the Contemporary because of that easy walk back and forth. So that's just a very challenging question for me. So whatever one I'm in is my favorite. It's ridiculous. So silly. Okay, this is a DVC question. For a family that goes to Disney about twice a year, how many DVC points should we start with? We have been looking at buying into DVC for about 4 years now, but can't decide on the amount of points and which home resort. Also, what's your thoughts on resale versus direct? I remember years ago you said you've experienced both, but curious about what your opinion is now. Okay, if you are not a content creator that does a lot of Disney travel, I would buy resale. And here's why. Because you cannot use your resale points at the newer resorts. And since a lot of times I use my points to review new resorts that have come online, I need to have direct points. That is why we sold our resale contract. But if you have a resort that you love, a great example would be like Animal Kingdom Lodge. If you love Animal Kingdom Lodge and you are okay with staying in all of the legacy resorts, so that would not include Riviera, and something else. Like there's another one that's not included, I think. Maybe I have that wrong. Then resale is fine. There are still so many resorts. And if a new resort comes online and you really want to stay in it, you could stay with cash. So that brings me to how many points should you get? As little as possible, because you're making a 50-year commitment. Sometimes a 60-year commitment. I think that's the brand new ones. It's a 60-year commitment. So you're far better off, in my opinion, having slightly too few points. And we're talking about Disney's timeshare. For those of you that are like, what is she even talking about? Disney Vacation Club, it's a timeshare. You buy points. It's a point-based system. It's still a timeshare. As timeshares go, it's definitely the gold standard. I'm very happy with our membership. It's not for everybody. Don't finance. Anyway, I could go on, but I won't. But like if you know that there's a week that you particularly normally go, check out the points chart for that week and see what that week would be. Do not overbuy because you're going to have to pay dues on whatever you buy. So as life changes, like your kids get older, you have grandkids and then the grandkids get older, or you decide you don't want to go to Disney or whatever, you want to make sure that if you saved up like 3 years worth of points, you could still use them in Hawaii. You could still use them, maybe it's Vero Beach or it's Hilton Head or whatever. But I see so many people overbuy their contract and then they have a life shift and all of a sudden they have all these points. Another great thought, if you're like, no, we're determined, should have said, I have 240 points right now, and that is just perfect for me. But if you're someone who's like, no, I really want 300 points, or I really want 400 points, and you can do that financially, and you're determined that's what you want to do, great. My one caveat would be, break that up into different contracts. Do 4 100-point contracts. And here's why. If you decide you have more points than you need, a 100-point contract will sell, as of right now, really quickly. A 400-point contract can sit on the market forever. So putting them in different contracts gives you a lot more flexibility. And as life changes, maybe right now you're going to Disney a ton and your kids are of that age, so you're always staying in a 2-bedroom or larger. So 400 points makes sense. But then as your life ebbs and flows, if you're not using the points, you need to generate some cash, being able to just sell off one 100-point contract just gives you a lot more flexibility. Again, though, buy resale if at all possible. I don't work with any particular DVC resale broker. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I have used, the timeshare store and DVC by resale for my own personal self. Both are very, very good. But I would buy resale. I really would. I own everything direct, but I've owned both. And I would say unless you're bound and determined that you definitely want to stay at one of the new resorts, I would buy resale. That's just my own personal opinion. Get that discount. And all the things that DVC says it includes as perks, you will more than make up for those discounts by buying on the resale market, like potentially tens of thousands of dollars. So there you go. That's what I have to say about that. Okay, let's move into some like personal care stuff. You guys had some really great questions around that. I loved this question from Eric. What's one boundary you've set that has made your life more peaceful? Oh my gosh, this is a big one, especially since I just came from therapy. But I think, and Eric will love this. I'm going to talk about a quote I heard from Taylor Swift, where she talked about how your energy is your most expensive commodity. So be very careful how you spend it. And I think not allowing myself to be taken advantage of by energy draining people. I am someone who, if I am friends with you, I am invested. I don't know how to be a casual friend. I just don't. I have acquaintances, and then I have people that I would take a bullet for, and I don't have a lot in between. I have tended over the years to get into lopsided friendships where one person is doing all of the taking. And recently, through the help of my therapist, I have learned that that is not only not helpful for me, it's not helpful for the person. It's not a good balance. And so setting boundaries around who gets access to me has been huge. Removing access to people that are not healthy for me has been like my superpower in the last probably 5-6 years, and has made my life so much more peaceful. Energy vampires are no joke. I'm a Cancer, and so I tend to attract energy vampires because they can sense that I'm going to be super giving and kind, and I genuinely do. I'm also we used to think I was an Enneagram 2, but my therapist just broke the bombshell news on me today that she re-looked over my scores, and I was kind of tied for a 2 or a 9, and she actually thinks I'm a 9. So I am very capable of helping. I want to help, and I need to do, who's the 9s out there that can help me navigate this, because it's kind of blowing my mind. But what was my point? I love helping people, but I love helping people when it's an equitable relationship. And that doesn't mean that every friendship is always equal all the time. Far from it. My really close friends, sometimes they need more of my attention, and then the shoe will be on the other foot, and I need more of their attention. But if a person is incapable of doing one or the other, if either they can't give or they can't take, I'm done. I can't. Those relationships are a waste of my time. And I also am not great. I'm not going to try to figure it out with you. So yeah, stopping with the energy vampires, cutting them out of my life, huge win. So beneficial. You have no idea. It will change your life and your health potentially too, because sometimes these energy vampires drain us so much that we can actually become physically ill. And you deserve more than that. I deserve more than that. We need to have respect for ourselves in our relationships and how we spend our time and our emotional energy. Okay, I love this question from Matt. What have been your favorite miracle in the mundane or quiet comfort moments lately? Miracle in the mundane. I am loving that my life is much more analog now. I am doing more reading, more doing puzzles, more actually talking to friends on the phone, a lot more relational activity than I have done in quite some time. And I am so much the better for it. I really did not realize, and I started on this journey probably 2 months ago, about really backing off on how much digital media I consume. And it has just transformed so many things. It has brought my stress level down. It has really just helped me reconnect and get back into alignment with my body, because I feel like when you're constantly being like, wow, like the internet is screaming at you all day, every day, you completely get out of alignment with how you really feel, especially if you're a sensitive person, because there's all this energy coming at you like a fire hose. And stepping aside from all that and spending a lot more time doing things with my hands in a tangible way, in person, going out to dinner with my friends a lot more, just all of that is really bringing a lot more richness back into my life. And I'm so much happier for it. So much happier. Okay, best thing you've done for yourself this year. I'm going to refer back to what I said to Eric. I would say I've cut out energy vampires, and that will continue to be the best thing that I do for myself. Is really, and you know, in a way, I suppose the internet and doom scrolling could be one of those energy vampires. So realizing that there's a lot of problems in the world, but I don't have to know about all of them, and I can be a lot more discerning about what I let my heart get fired up about. And I just have too much fatigue, or had too much fatigue from all of the voices all at once. And I really can be super curated in what I expose myself to on a daily basis. And I have done that for myself this year. And I continue to do that for myself. And it's made me really, really happy. Okay, let's see. What's something, oh, I love this one, Robin. This kind of goes back to travel, but I'll answer it anyway. What's something you're looking forward to this fall, winter? Scott and I have the coolest trip planned. We actually have 2 trips planned. The first is we're doing like a California road trip. We are starting in Las Vegas, and then we're driving to Palm Springs, and then we're ending in LA. Super excited about that trip. Scott and I always do a big trip, September, October. One year it was Greece. Last year it was the Cinque Terre in Italy, which was incredible. And this year we're doing like an old school USA road trip. So flying into Vegas and back out of California. And we have so many fun things planned. I will be vlogging. I can't wait to bring that to you guys. I also have a Viking trip with Scott. We are being hosted by them. Can't wait. And we're sailing from originating in Rome and going to Athens. And so lots of great travel coming up. And I think that's what I'm most looking forward to. It's going to be amazing. And cooler weather, because it's so hot and humid in Atlanta right now, and I am so ready for less humid weather. So Beth asked, what's your favorite way to decompress from all the stress? So reading and puzzling, like I already mentioned. Bathing. When we redid our bathroom, we put a really beautiful slipper soaking tub in there. And I find a hot bath to just be like magic for me. I can't describe it. it is, there's a reason why cultures for thousands of years have used like ritual bathing as a way to center yourself and to just bring calm. And in the evening, if I can get in the bath and put on some really beautiful, calming, like spa music and have a book, that is heaven to me. And it really does help me decompress from everything. And you know what I mean by everything. Speaking of everything, let's get to the last group of questions, which all are to do with my mom and our journey with dementia. I purposely put this one at the end because I know some of you are like you either just lost your parent or you're too deep in this to watch this content. But I also know for a lot of you it's really helpful. So if this is something that is not helpful for you, I'm giving you permission to log off now. Make sure you like, subscribe first. But yeah, I totally get that. So that's why I wanted to put this at the end. This is from Joe. Do you ever feel resentful, annoyed that you are the one responsible for everything while your siblings don't have the added responsibility of everything? And if so, how have you been able to overcome it? So I don't feel that way. Try to think how to get into why I don't feel that way. My brother and sister had a much rougher journey with my mom than I did. Our childhood was problematic. That's all I'll say about that. To the point that their not being involved is 100% understandable to me, and I support them in that decision. They are also both very supportive of me as they can be. My sister will send me cards. We talk on the phone multiple times per week. My brother actually handles my mom's finances, so that's kind of his area of responsibility. So he takes care of all of that. And I'm not resentful. Me and my siblings are we were in the same foxhole together, and we have been through a lot. And we are very united. And so I don't feel resentful at all. I love them deeply. And this is just the way that it had to be. Maybe someday I'll share more of that story. And maybe I won't. But everyone is doing what they were meant to do. And I don't hold it against them at all. So there you go. Question for your Q&A. This is from Kate. Have you made any changes personally for your own health to help prevent Alzheimer's or dementia? So I haven't necessarily made any lifestyle changes because I already was someone who exercises every day. I lift weights, I do yoga, I'm a vegetarian. So not really diet and lifestyle wise, but I have been more proactive about a few things about my health. Because mom has vascular dementia, that is linked to heart health. So I did have a calcium scan done, which was totally optional, not covered by insurance. It was $99, so it wasn't a big deal. That says if you might have heart disease. That came back, I got a 0, which is the only test you take that you want a 0, and that's what I got. So I was relieved about that. I also have done my hormone replacement therapy very diligently because lack of sleep, particularly in middle age, is a direct tie to dementia risk. My mom was never a good sleeper, and so I guard my sleep. I can't, like a pit bull. Like, my sleep is sacred to me. There is not a lot I won't do to protect my sleep. And so I've worked hand in hand with my doctor to make sure I get good quality sleep. I'll let you do your own research on the tie between those two things. The other thing is making sure that my weight stays healthy. I would like to lose, I don't know, maybe 5-10 pounds. I'm comfortable with my weight. It's not a vanity thing, but I do want to make sure I don't get into that kind of middle-age creep because having excess weight can also contribute to dementia. So it's more been just like medically making sure I'm staying on top of everything. I will go to the cardiologist when that feels appropriate and just ensuring that I'm doing everything that I can from a medical standpoint. But yeah, staying creative, using my mind, reading a lot, staying open-minded. I've done all those things this whole time. So there weren't a lot of changes to make. The other thing that I will be doing at age 60 is a baseline CT scan and a baseline cognitive test. And that's so that if I start to see any symptoms at all, we have something to compare it to. We did not have that with my mom. I don't think she would have agreed to do it anyway, but to me that's really important and I'm definitely going to be doing that. So there you go. Let's see. Okay, we're going to end on this one because it's a really good question. What advice do you have for other Gen Xers on preparing for the last season of life? Long-term care insurance, a written plan for when we lose our independence, etc. A few years ago, my mom suddenly became paraplegic and lost her independence very quickly. Don't ever put me in a home was much, much easier said than done. Caring for her 24/7 for years until she passed was hellish and traumatic for my brother and me. I never want my kids to go through that. That's emotional for me to read. So first of all, Amy, I am so sorry for all of it. I am sorry about your mom becoming a paraplegic. I am sorry for the years that you cared for her. And I also commend the fact that you don't want to do that to your kids, because that is exactly the way that Scott and I feel. So we don't have long-term care insurance. That's not because we don't think people should. That's because in tandem with our financial advisors, they've made the decision that we will be all right to self-fund that if it's required, and that the plan that we would need, due to some issues that I won't get into, would be so expensive that we are better off self-funding. Having said that, we have worked diligently for years with our financial advisor, and we absolutely have had the conversation with our kids. I think when I look at my parents, they just didn't talk about this. It was as if they were never going to die. And we have already put everything in a trust. We have worked with an estate attorney. We've been very diligent about just making sure we have all of our ducks in a row. My sons know exactly what to do, because keep in mind too, Scott and I travel a lot together. I mean, what if there was an accident and something happened? I want to make sure they are set up for success. Nobody can tell the future. And of all of the elderly people in our lives, we've lost 2 to cancer, 1, Scott's mom, to literally just old age. She had no cognitive issues at all at the end, and she lived to be 85. And then my mom now with cognitive decline, AFib, and Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. So nobody knows. Nobody can tell you. But we are as prepared as we possibly can be. And I'm very much at peace that we have done all the steps. What will not serve you well, Gen X, please look me in the eye right now, is denial. Denial about your financial situation, denial about having your affairs in order, denial about your own demise. You need to be figuring these things out and figuring out exactly what you would want. Mom never would tell us what she wanted. And there were so many things that she could have decided earlier on that, although I don't think would have meant she wouldn't have gotten Alzheimer's at all or mixed dementia, it would have made things a lot easier on her and on us, right? And we would have had more of an idea of what she really wanted. So I think don't be in denial. Face the truth head on. Do what you can to prepare yourself. And that would be my biggest advice on that. Okay, that was a lot of questions and a lot of answers. I hope you enjoyed this time. I hope we didn't get too serious, but we did touch on a few serious things. I hope you have something really fun scheduled for yourself. And if you don't, make an imaginary plan. Like if you cannot get out of town right now for whatever reason, make an imaginary plan that you can put into place the second that it becomes possible, because times are hard right now, financially, politically, in our world. Things are being threatened, all of the things, and we all deserve an outlet or 2 or 10. And so I hope you're all taking really, really good care of yourselves. Whatever you're doing today, I hope you're finding joy. Please, 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 if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so. This video and all of my videos brought to you by my wonderful patrons. They actually got this video a couple days before you guys, and completely ad-free because they joined me on Patreon for $7 a month. Patrons, I love you. I cannot tell you what you mean to me, and that community is really, really something special. So anyway, go have the best day, and I will see you in the next video.